Hello and welcome to the Rock Your Voice podcast. Vocal coaching tips that will transform your voice, interviews that will inspire, industry guidance, and so much more. Without further ado, let's get on with the show. Hello, today I want to talk about funding and grant applications. There's so many different things that you can just tweak and be aware of that can really strengthen an application and help you get some money towards your career, whether it's for marketing, whether it's for artist development or training, whether it's for recording a new album or an EP or putting on a tour, whatever it might be. There's a lot of funding now. A lot of this episode is going to be tailored towards Canadian artists because that's the sort of area that I know the most about for funding. A lot of my friends in the States are like, Canadians, you get so much funding for the arts and music, which yes, we do get a lot of opportunities. However, do not be disheartened and do not give up the search. I guess, first of all, I'll kind of touch on different types of funding that you can look at, because if there aren't specific programs in your area towards funding the arts, you might be surprised what other sort of companies will fund and support through sponsorship or donations towards things like that. So don't give up if you can't find anything that's just like, if you Google funding for my new record and you don't find anything, just keep on looking, be creative and pitch some sponsorships maybe, and just keep looking around there. But for this particular session today, I'm going to talk a lot about sort of Canadian funding opportunities. There are, however, a lot of other grants across the planet that this sort of information will be relevant to. I must also comment, if you're watching the video, my poor little dude, Taylor, had some surgery last week and he's now in the healing process. So he has his little cone hat on and is incredibly frustrated because he is feeling better, but he does not appreciate the cone. So please bear with me with the special guest in the studio today. Okay. So the big thing to think about is grants don't necessarily just fund your talent. You have to be really clear with well-planned, community-relevant projects with strong execution outlines, okay? Now, you might look at a funding application and be like, this is huge. This is going to take up so much time. Is it really worth it if I don't know what the outcome is? The thing is, if you have this goal and this big dream or this big project that you really want to do, if you're going to do it, you should have a really clear strategy and a clear budget and a clear timeline and a clear team. All of the things that a funding application is going to ask you about. Now, it's one thing to sort of go off and be like, I'm going to create this myself and blah, blah, blah. But if you don't have that strategic plan, it's going to be so much harder to do. So, in my opinion, nothing bad comes from taking the time to fill out a funding application, because even if you do not get the money, which sucks, but if you do not get the funding, you have a really clear plan and a clear strategy that perhaps you can take off to someone who might want to sponsor your idea, or a different funding opportunity might come up. So one thing I will talk about right out the gate is when you are filling out these funding opportunities, make sure you put all of the answers to all of your questions in either a Google document or a Word document or something that you can save on your computer. Firstly, because a lot of the sites where you fill out your funding applications notoriously, when they get busy, will crash. So for example, if you're hustling to fill out all these amazing answers and you're like, wow, that was a brilliant piece of writing that explains my project so immaculately, and then suddenly their site crashes, you've lost everything you just worked on. And that really, really sucks, even worse than not getting the money. Keep all of your answers on a separate document so that you have them backed up, but also because if you're going to apply for other forms of funding, you have these answers saved and you can reuse them. You can tailor them for more funding opportunities. So if you're wanting to apply for 3 different grants that cover your recording of your album, you have all of this strategically documented and planned and written out. Okay. So getting crystal clear on your outcome, not just a big idea. So for example, if you say, we're planning a tour, doesn't really make you stand out from anyone else, and it doesn't give the funding people any specific answers to what you're asking for. So being crystal clear on your outcome, what you are asking for, is key. You don't want to just throw out there, I want to record an album, or I want to plan a tour. You need to say very clearly, like, this 14-day regional tour will create paid performance opportunities for X amount of artists in X amount of communities, and expand the audience reach for my band in Western Canada, for example. Just being more clear about how many people it's going to impact, where you're going to go, what you're going to do, as opposed to, we're touring. Really kind of locking it in. Funders will want to know what is going to exist because of this project, who's it going to impact, and what is going to change as a result of this. How are we supporting you moving forward and moving further? So just really being clear. It's similar to writing your music bio, like, she is changing taking the industry by storm, or doing this, that, and the other by blah, blah, blah. Like these random sentences that kind of describe stuff, but aren't backed up with statistics and aren't backed up with numbers or anything like that. So being super clear about what it is you want to do. Letters of support are key, and these are things that you should get in place like right from the get-go, or at least start asking people early on in the process. This week alone, I think I've had 6 or 7 artists reach out to me for a letter of support for different applications and projects. So what I always say is to create a draft letter that says exactly what you would like this person to say about you, the project, etc., and then give it to them. Because if I had to sit down and write 6 or 7 letters this week and pull everything out of thin air about this person, about the project, about, what the funders would like to hear, it's going to take me forever. And I don't want to do that, quite frankly. So if you create a draft that says exactly what you need said, and then you politely ask the person for the letter of support, put it in your own wording and tailor it to how exactly you would have said it, but you already have the letter there, so it's something to work off and go with. Please do that. It's really polite. It's not imposing, and you're going to get your letter back way quicker. And it's going to say the things you want it to say. So don't waste other people's time, and don't waste your time. You might be asking for letters of support and not be getting any responses, and that might be because you're not sending drafts to the people who you're asking the letter of. So there's certain things you want in a letter of support that have to be relevant to whatever it is you're applying for, obviously. But things like mentioning specific past successes, confirming future collaborations. Like, for example, yes, I would like to mentor this person for a 3-month period for XYZ. Or, yes, I would like to hire this person back to perform at my venue because last time this amount of sales happened, or it was a sold out show, or, just have a few statistics, have a few things in there that really speak to engagement and impact if possible. Weak letters are like, yeah, we support this artist is great, and don't really say anything, but like, a strong letter would be, based on 2 previous sold out shows and strong audience engagement, we're committed to booking them again as part of his tour. So, just like the wording that showcases that, yes, it's not just a random person writing a random letter that really couldn't be bothered to write the letter either. Budgeting. Now, this is where everyone kind of freaks out. Like, depending on how big the funding opportunity is, just be real. Like, if it's going to cost you a certain amount of money, make sure you put that in the budget. Don't be like, I can't ask for that much or whatever. And if you need more than what the funding opportunity is, show that. Because what you can show is like, sure, this is, let's say this funding opportunity is $5,000, but what I actually want to do is going to cost me $7,500. That's okay. They're not going to not give you the grant because the expenses are more than what they have to give you. But if you can show that, yes, I am going to put forward $2,500 or whatever the extra is, from my personal or from another funding source or what have you, that shows you've got skin in the game. That shows you mean it. That shows you really want to do it. And the funders are going to look at that and be like, okay, yeah, they're really in it. The other thing is, when you're writing these things, talk about it as if you are 100% going to do it. Not if I get this money, I will, or if I get this money, I'm going to. Like, talk about, I am doing this. And then be like, you know, if the funding comes, it comes, great. But they don't want to hear that you're just making up some dreams and goals because if they give you money, you can go and do something. It's like, no, this is happening, my friend, and nothing is going to get in my way and nothing is going to stop me. So make sure that your language indicates that this is a strategic goal. You have a strategic plan. You are going to make it happen, whether or not the funding happens. And again, this is so funny. People will fill out funding applications and be like, I've sent in my application. Now I really have to do it. And I don't have any money. But it's like, you don't have to do anything if you don't get the grant. You don't have to suddenly go and spend $25,000 if you don't get any money. Of course, if you get the funding, you have to do what you said you were going to do. But they're not going to follow up in 6 months and be like, hey, you said on that form you were going to do this. And we noticed that even though we didn't give you the money, you haven't done it yet. So yeah, don't feel bad about talking as if you are 100% going to do these things. And then you don't actually do it because you can't afford to do it. That is okay. There might be another funding opportunity down the road. There will be more times to do these things and different ways to do it. But what I do love, like I said, about building these application forms and filling out these forms in really like strong detail is getting everything planned out. So again, if you do not get the money, you have a strategic plan at the end of the day. It's like writing a business plan to be able to go and get funding from a bank. Not everyone's going to get the funding based off of their business plan, but if you've got a really solid business plan, it's going to really help you for like 2, 3, 4, 5 years in building your business. So having this strategy is going to be so helpful. Looking at a budget might actually show you, hang on, I was out to lunch. I thought I could do it for this amount of money. Now that I've actually got quotes and references, which is things you're going to need, you're going to want to get the quotes so that you're not just pulling numbers out of the air, imagining how much your van is going to cost, or imagining how much gas and hotels and meals and all of that stuff is going to cost. You want to figure out what that looks like so that you're not halfway around the country with no money. And just making sure that everything is realistic and that you can relax and you can do what you're out there doing with this money and this funding and do it right, do it properly. So keeping things relevant too is really important for the funders to see. You want to absolutely read through guidelines. A lot of times they will offer like an open house or an info session. Attend these. Don't be afraid to also reach out to the people who, if there is an email and it says for more information, or if you have questions, these people are here to help you get the money. They want you to succeed. They want you to send in a strong application. They want everything to fall in your favor. So don't be afraid to reach out to people. It's not like taking a test or a quiz, and if you fail, it's like, haha, you're a failure. It's like, no, let's try and help you succeed. They need to spend the money, because if the money doesn't go out, then they're going to get less next year to give. So these people are here to help you. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to send some emails and just see if there's anything coming up on a funding application that you don't have the answers to, or you're not quite sure if you're going down the right angle. Make sure that you ask those questions. So a lot of times in the guidelines, you might think, oh, there's $75,000 funding for this, and you might interpret it as something, but read the guidelines. It might be specifically for marketing. It might be specifically for recording projects. It might be specifically for mentorship or training or travel or what have you. Make sure you're really locked in on what these things are specifically for, and tailor your application to use the wording that is correct through their lens of what they are looking for to give the money to. So, for example, if it's like a community development thing, talk about local engagement. If it's professional development, talk about mentorship and industry growth. If it's economic impact, talk about paid collaborations and regional venues. Like, tie things in that match and fit and make sense. So it's not about changing your project. It's about framing it through the lens that fits to the funding opportunity. Okay. Now that might sound a bit naughty. Probably it might be a bit frowned upon. But just make sure that everything that you're putting through does align with what they're wanting to fund. A solid timeline. Don't say I'm going to put together a tour and we're leaving in 2 weeks. I'm hiring a band. We're doing the rehearsals. We're leaving in 2 weeks, and yeah, make sure there's time to really show them that your plan is sustainable. It is real. It can happen. It's not going to be rushed. It's not going to go off the rails halfway through the project and their money will be wasted. Make sure that you've really thought this through. You understand the logistics and prove that you can deliver the outcome that you and the funders are looking for. Don't be afraid also to share about the team behind the project. These things take teams, like big projects. Like, so for example, if you're recording, don't be afraid to kind of get a bio of the producer or background on the recording studio. Make sure that you include all of this to give your project like viability and like make it look really legit. Make sure it's legit and it's not just like I'm recording in my friend's basement. Like, showcase, I mean, no shade on your friend in their basement, but like make sure that you showcase that your friend is an awesome producer and his studio in his basement is fantastic. Here are links to the website. Here's their bio. This is about the person. So make sure that you have all of that stuff too. And demonstrating track record. So even if you're early in your career, just ways to show your growth, your engagement, your commitment, things that you can include from a metric standpoint: audience growth, social reach numbers, streaming increases, sold out shows, media coverage, industry showcases, all of those kind of things. Now, that's stuff that's really important for your bio. And a lot of times funding grants, the forms will ask for a resume or a bio. So you want to make sure that you're including things like that in your resume or your artist bio. And yeah, think about it from the funder's point of view. Will the artist actually complete this? Are you actually going to do it? If we send you all this money, are you actually going to be able to pull this off? Will you pull this off? Like, prove to them that this is happening. Will this benefit the music ecosystem? Like, are you going to be hiring other people? Are you going to be engaging other people in the arts? Are you going to be showcasing more things to patrons of the arts? Like, how is this going to benefit the ecosystem? Is it financially responsible? Does it align with mandates? Is there measurable impact? So looking at things from that standpoint versus just emotionally. So don't like, this is a dream, this is a goal, this is my life's work, I've always wanted to do this. Be like, no, is it actually going to happen? Is it going to benefit the ecosystem? Is it financially responsible? Like, those are the things that people are looking for. So avoiding common mistakes like copy and pasting generic bios, ignoring character limits, submitting last minute. We're musicians, we do that. Weak budgets, like really like get the quotes, make your budgets make sense. And forgetting to answer the actual question, kind of going off on tangents, applying without reading the eligibility guidelines. So there's a lot. There is a lot. And I'm happy to hop on a call and discuss these things with you because I love it. It's kind of like when you're writing an English essay. Now I'm going to show my nerd side, but I used to love writing essays in English classes, English literature, because they'd ask you a question and you literally just kind of had to repeat the question back to them and filling in the blanks. And so this is essentially what you're doing with a funding application. They're going to say why X, Y, and Z. And you're going to be like, because X does this, Y does that, and Z does that. So like repeat the question back with your answers in a sense, if that makes sense. Anyway, I love all of that stuff. It's kind of like cracking a code a little bit. But just keep thinking about, I'm creating a plan here. It's not just filling out a form, and it's not a pain in the butt to just create this form for the sake of creating this form. You're actually creating a plan for something, and it might show you that, yes, this is not feasible right now. This is actually a crazy dream and a crazy idea that maybe I need to refine a heck of a lot more before I jump on it. Or actually, what I thought is really accessible and attainable, and I can add on a few other factors. Or I can do this with this funding project, and then I can tie in this other part with a different funding project. However, you don't want to apply to record your EP with that one if there's actually a recording funding opportunity over there, whereas you might go do the recording funding opportunity and then come back to the artist development one and do like a bunch of vocal production or voice training and stuff to get you ready to go to the studio. And that way you're using funding smartly. I'm going to take a breath because I feel like I have been going here for a solid 20 minutes. Not every grant gets approved. The applications will refine your business plan. Rejections will clarify your direction, and each submission strengthens your language when it comes to filling out these forms. So build funding into almost like your annual planning. Like spend time taking notes of when opportunities come out throughout the year, when deadlines are, all of that kind of stuff. Be like, hey, I want to do this. I'm going to look for an opportunity for it, and I'm going to do it. And then by saving all of these things in your separate notes, like we talked about in the beginning, creating repeatable systems so you can go in and update your notes with the newest updates, statistics and all that kind of stuff, and they will be now relevant to the next application. Treat grants as part of your strategy, not an emergency rescue fund, but part of a strategy to really build and grow your career and get yourself out there. So yeah, don't be afraid of them. Go fill out the forms, go learn about your dreams, dig into your budgets, find out if these things are feasible, can become a reality, or actually are like going to be easier to do than you thought. So if you have any questions, please reach out. I love helping people with these funding opportunities, and have had a lot of success with clients, helping them get some extra money to fulfill their artistic dreams and goals. So yeah, reach out, emma@rocketvocalstudios.com, or leave a comment, message me, what have you. And I wish you the very best of luck and all the success in successful funding applications. Take care. Take a breath. That was a lot. Don't be overwhelmed. You got this. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, subscribe. It helps other listeners just like you discover the show. Also, I'd love you to follow along on social media. It's Rocket Vocal Studios. That's ROCKIT Vocal Studios. If you have any questions at all, I am here for you and your voice. Email me, emma@rocketvocalstudios.com. Would love to chat. If you ever want a session, if you want to nerd out about the voice, I am here for you. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day. We'll see you next time.